Hi everybody, in this video module we are going to walk through the CurateFx modules, and we've got two of us here on this particular part of the presentation, myself, Rebecca Sendell from TM Forum, and Kevin McCaffrey from Trident. TM Forum and Trident are partnering to bring CurateFx to you, so I've asked Kevin to go through all of the modules of CurateFx with me and provide some additional insight. So, like I said, you're in the second of 3 video units. The first video unit, the overview, hopefully you've already watched. Now we're in the second unit, which is about the modules, and then we've got another one about the collaboration capabilities and security and privacy functionality. Okay, so let's just jump right in to looking at CurateFx. When you get your login, you'll click in, you'll set up a password, and the first screen you'll come to is this screen. This is your home screen. And you'll see here you've got a variety of projects that are already defined. These have come from various TM Forum projects already that have happened in the Catalyst program or other collaborative programs in TM Forum. We've put them in as examples for you just to give you ideas of how to use the tool. For me, I've created a project that I like to use for demos that is based on a Catalyst project on intelligent vending machines. This project is available to all of you when you're logged in. It has a little globe sign there, which tells you that it is available to everybody. So this demo that you're seeing today, you will be able to look at this on your own when you get logged in. So let's just click in to that project. I'm going to show you the structure of what a project looks like. There's 3 main areas that we're really going to walk through on this demo: the scenario setting area, the scenario context area, and the scenario components area. So you'll see under each one there are various modules. I'll go into in a minute how those got there and what they mean. But I just want to show you that under each area, there are various chunks that we'll look at. We will leave scenario conclusions for today. We will not be touching on that one today. So going into scenario setting, you've got a number of areas that you're defining in order to establish why are we doing this business scenario anyway. So you're going to look at who your stakeholders are, what their problem statements or user stories are, from each stakeholder's perspective. You're going to look at what the external and market drivers are for this business scenario. Why is this interesting in a market, from a market perspective anyway? You're going to look at the value propositions for every one of your stakeholders. Why are they interested in this? What value are they going to get out of it? What money are they going to make? What money are they going to save? What risk are they going to reduce? What new doors are going to open for them with this business scenario? And so those are kind of the main areas. I'll go over some of these other detailed things in a minute. But so just to show you what one of these modules looks like, if you click into here, you've got your stakeholders. We're looking at an intelligent vending machine business. So of course you've got customers, vending machine companies, merchandise suppliers, CSPs who'll be providing the connectivity, the vending machines. You've got a platform, which is the interactive part of the vending machine, startup companies. You might have airports or cities where they're deployed. So you've got all your stakeholders listed out here, and this is just simply a field where you are typing in stakeholders and description names. So easy enough to just type here, where machines are deployed. So it's just all typing. You've got drop-down lists where you get to say what the role is of each of the parties in the ecosystem. Very simple. We ask you to do that first because we use those stakeholders throughout the rest of the modules. The next thing you're going to look at are problem statements. So here, I've got a number of problem statements already defined. For example, as a customer, I need to be able to purchase merchandise easily with my mobile so I can get easy access to things I need, etc. Maybe you want to look at what would be the value to a vending machine company. Well, they want to improve the efficiency of their operations to save operational costs, etc. So we've got these problem statements in a user story language for each of the stakeholders, and you can do as many as you want to. You know, let's say you think of a different statement for a customer. Just add it and add another one. Very flexible. Add as many of these as you need to. So now you've captured the stakeholders, what their problem statements are. Next, you're going to look at external and market drivers. So what's happening in the industry that is enabling intelligent vending machines to even be a possibility? So people are buying more online, so they're comfortable with automated experiences. Retailers need low-cost options to compete with online sales, etc. There are things that are happening out in the market. Again, to add them, very simple: click, type, done. Next, we look at value propositions. So this is saying, how's everybody going to make money? Everybody in this ecosystem going to make money? So again, we've got a list of the value propositions here. You type in the names and the descriptions, and then you have the opportunity to change, add, delete stakeholders that this value proposition will be important to. And again, this comes from your list of stakeholders that you've already defined. So very simple, point and click, type, etc. Okay, so we've got these 4 key areas: stakeholders, problem statements, external market drivers, and value propositions. This is really, why are we doing this in the first place? Okay, I'm going to pause here. Kevin, can you give us a bit of background on where some of this thinking is coming from, and how we got kind of to this logic that we've got in the scenario setting module?
Sure, Rebecca. Yeah, the logic on this actually comes from work that was done within the B2B2X team, where there was a PowerPoint presentation template created called the business scenario template. And the objective of that was specifically targeted at Catalyst projects so that they could clearly identify, you know, who is involved in the Catalyst project, what was the problem they're trying to solve, why are they doing this, and what value are they going to bring. So it was really trying to look at this from a business perspective so that when people went up to their booths at Nice or at any of the events, that there would be a clear explanation as to why they were doing it. So one of the areas that within that template was called, the first area was the scenario settings. The second area then was, which you'll get into shortly, is you'll talk about the scenario context, which starts describing things such as the business model, the ecosystem, use cases, that type of thing. And then you get into components, which deals with the Frameworx elements that are being used. So it's basically to provide people with a path that enables them to create and follow a journey of creating a business scenario or business case by using the best practices. So the tool basically has adopted the same proven methodology of the business scenario template and brought that online.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kevin. And so Kevin's given you a bit of an idea of where this came from and what the structure is inside of the tool with the scenario setting, scenario context, and scenario components. We've dug in a little bit to the scenario setting area, and I'll jump into scenario context in just a minute, but I want to point out a couple of little things. So let's say in your company, you call these, you call them something else. You call them user challenges. So you can just click into the edit button, change the name, accept, and now it's called user challenges. So you can really customize this for how the language that you use in your company for defining business scenarios. But at the same time, we have got our standardized names in here, and you can always start with that as well. And you can always add another module. So for example, let's say I want to separate out the drivers just for the CSPs. I can do that and just create a module that's CSP drivers only. So I showed you the standardized modules, the stakeholders, the user stories, the drivers, and the value propositions. But now I've created one down here that's just the CSP drivers. And so if you have a group that you want to just think about that, you can just drop them into this CSP only module. So it's not just limited to 4, you know, one of each. You can have as many of each as you want to, call them whatever you want to. So lots of flexibility. So we give you the methodology that Kevin explained, but we give you the flexibility to make that work in your company. Okay, so now let's drop into scenario context. This has got kind of 2 main areas. First is the business canvas. This is something that we've been using in TM Forum for a number of years. It's not our invention. It comes from Osterwalder, and as we click into this, we see that we've got this canvas all filled in. The beauty of this is that because we're using an existing tool that we have gotten through Osterwalder, there is a load of detail in here. So you click into any item, you go through next, it's giving you all kinds of suggestions for what your revenue models would look like. It's just giving you loads of suggestions on the revenue. Look on the cost side, same thing. Loads of suggestions of how you will define all of the elements of your business. Customer relationships, same thing. What kind of customer relationships are there? So this is a very comprehensive business canvas tool. For my particular demo here, this is an overall business canvas for this business scenario, for the intelligent vending machine scenario. But I think in some cases, you want to maybe just look at a CSP only business canvas or a business canvas just for one of the stakeholders. So what I did to create this is I just copied the existing canvas, and then I say, okay, well, I'm going to delete this because the CSP won't be a partner of themselves. These other companies will be the partners. And maybe the importance for CSPs is connectivity, so I'm going to move that to the top. And you can go through and edit this business canvas to just be from a single stakeholder's perspective. So that's one piece of the scenario context. The other piece is actually mapping out your ecosystem. So when you look in here, you've got all of your stakeholders that you've created in your stakeholder module, the very first thing that you would have done. And this ecosystem view gives you a chance to design the relationships and define the relationships between all the parties. So it's very simple to do. I've got one stakeholder that I haven't included yet. I can drag them onto the map, and I can say, okay, we need to make sure that the cities are connected with the vending machine company. You just simply draw a line. If you do it correctly, you simply draw a line. And you put in the name, which is cities, merchandise. You say this is going to be, which type of relationship is it going to be? Maybe it's going to be a contractual relationship to integrate, and you save that, and there we go. We've got our new connection. All of the models that are in here for the relationships come from TM Forum's B2B2X program that Kevin was talking about, particularly something called the partnering guide. So the thing to think about here is that these relationships get very complicated very fast. If you look here between the vending machine company and the CSP, there's 4 lines. If you look between any of these parties, there's multiple lines. And this type of, capturing this type of relationship can be very complex. That's what this tool is for. And we ask you, or we coach you to look at these relationships from multiple perspectives. A product and service perspective, a data perspective, which is about how do you share data back and forth via APIs, a financial perspective, a contractual perspective, and an operational perspective. So this view is actually quite simple considering how many possible relationships there are. But you'll see here, there's a contract, you click in, you get the type of contract, you get any of these modules or any of these relationships that you click, you're going to get detail over here on the right hand side. This is a financial relationship. And if we go to one, say over here, that's a data relationship, it's giving you a list of TM Forum's APIs to form the integration between the parties. And one of the really great things about this is when you select an API, you can look at the details of that API as well. So Kevin, what else can we add when we're looking at this view?
Yeah, this view, Rebecca, where we see it used quite often is a really useful mechanism for communicating between business and IT. You know, you've talked about the APIs. It allows people not just to get the specifications on the API, but it'll actually allow them to go and get the code for APIs as well. So you can take a business view and be able to drill down to actually code level information that's used within the ecosystem. The other view of the same information as you're building the ecosystem is to click on the show partner model. And what that does is that gives us a tabular view of all of the relationships that have been defined between the various stakeholders. So at the moment, it's showing us for the vending machine platform, you know, what is going in, what's going out. If we click on the CSP, and then you say, well, I want to sort that by, you know, by partner model type. You can, all of those headings below, you can sort them, you can click on, they're actually sorted in terms of direction now as well. But you've got a different view of the same information, and this table is dynamically built based on the model that the diagram that you built on the previous slide. So if we go back to the actual ecosystem, it gives you a very pictorial visual representation of the actual ecosystem. And quite often what you'll find is that it's very complex. There are a lot of items within it. But the beauty of doing what we're doing using the CurateFx tool is, one, is we're using standards such as the partnering model, we're using the API information, but also we're using consistent terms for the different stakeholders. So that allows us to add a level of consistency to what we're doing and being able to speak the language of the TM form, which is very important.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Kevin. That is a really important point about bridging the gap between business and IT. This view really lets people speak their own language and communicate clearly with the other party. So if you're putting business language in here, the business people can understand that, yet it converts really well when you add the APIs into the technical language. So great point. Okay, the other thing that I want to show on this is we showed you the overall ecosystem, but if you want to just pull out one particular view, you could create a separate diagram that maybe has just got the APIs. So you don't, again, like with the other modules, you can create multiples of this ecosystem view and have as many different views of the ecosystem as you would like. Okay, we're going to go on to scenario components now, which is where we look at Frameworx. So we have got, in this version, there will be more capabilities added to this section as we go forward through the beta. But in this version, we've got ETOM, SID, and TAM, our business process framework, information framework, and application framework models. And the key capability that we've got in this particular version is to select the process areas or the information areas or the application areas that will be relevant to this business scenario. So if we look at the ETOM, you see I've got some areas selected here. Obviously, selling are going to be important processes for the vending machine example, and marketing communications is going to be important, and advertising is probably going to be important as well. So simply by going here and clicking, I can add advertising to what is important for this scenario. And by clicking on that little, the little call out icon that you see that pops up, I can get a description. So if you're new to ETOM, SID, or TAM, you can also, you don't have to just go by the title, you can always click on any of these call out icons and get a description of this particular process grouping. Right now, we're just looking at these high-level process groupings, but before we get to the end of beta, we will be able to drill down to the very lowest level of ETOM, and you can do much more granular tracking of which processes are important to your business scenarios. Exact same concept with the SID. You can select the ABEs that you know will be important. And again, this is where you'll get your technical people involved. This will be using this particular part of the tool is a way to say, okay, business and technical, how are we going to make this real? And then same thing with your application mapping. We know that we're going to have product catalog capabilities. We know we're going to have customer loyalty management, etc. So these views give you that common language that I talked about in the first video unit, and it gives you a way to bridge that gap. Kevin, what else would you like to add into the description of this part of CurateFx?
Yeah, I think the important thing to realize is that the data you're looking at here is coming directly from the TM form. This is the full ETOM, SID, and TAM, or it will be once the interim release comes out in a couple of weeks. So what you're looking at is Frameworx. This is the information that people tend to look at on the posters that they put on the walls. One of the, as Rebecca was saying, one of the key things that we are going to do is we're at the top, we've got the ETOM, SID, and TAM. We're looking at adding metrics and APIs there as well. Also, for any object you select, you can actually also add your own comments, your own views, why you've selected that. So if we click on selling, there's a little comment section on the right. You could type in why that's relevant for you, because and what you're typing in here is just project specific for your particular project. And why this is important is it means that if you were to export this project, it will actually capture that information for you so that you can share that with other people. And it could be questions you have or anything else like that. And finally, as Rebecca has said, we will also be having the ability to drill down to different levels coming up. But also, if you were to select an ETOM, our goal will be ETOM process element would be then to say, hey, there's APIs or there's a KPI related to that particular item. So it's starting to push the information to you rather than you having to pull it. So that's going to be a really interesting addition to the product over the next month or so.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Kevin. Now, one other thing that I would like to point out as we just go back to any of the modules is that we need your feedback. So if I click on any module, every screen has got this green icon at the bottom. If you click on it, it emails me. So please send us comments, big or small. Do you have feedback, an idea, report a bug, etc.? And you will also be getting invited to join our CurateFx online community. So please look for an invitation to that to become part of that community as well. Another way to share ideas and give feedback as we're going through the beta process. So just in quick summary, we've looked at scenario settings, scenario context, and scenario components. All of the logic that comes from the B2B to X program come to life. And we will wrap this video up here, but please watch the third unit, which is going to be about how you can share all of this information with your colleagues. Okay, thanks very much.